Hello everyone, I'm Mangeet Singh Sarao, and for the final presentation of COM 340, I would be presenting on the topic X window system. So to begin with, the X window system, which is often known as X, is a windowing system for graphic workstations, which is developed at MIT with the support from DEC. It is generally based on a client server model where a networked computer workstation runs an X server, and there are various client programs which are running or connected with those workstations. So the client requests services from the server and the servers reply towards that services. It is an architecture independent system and it was developed in mid 80s, which provided a standard graphical user interface for Unix system, which is similar to the Microsoft Windows. But the Windows only run locally on the machine, and the X Windows uses X protocol, which separates the processing and display for an application. That is, the application part could be run remotely over another client, whereas the display is handled by the server. So we'll be discussing about it in more detail in the following slides. Any X window system consists of two distinct parts, that is the server and it can be one or more clients. So the server controls the display directly and is responsible for all the input and output operations, which could be performed via a keyboard or a mouse or any form of touch display. Whereas the clients do not have access to the screen directly. They communicate with the server and they send the request to the server, which then handles all the processes and replies back to the client. It is the client which do the real computing work, such as running the applications or performing various functions. The client communicate with the server and it causes the server to open up one or more windows to handle the input or output operations for that client. Now coming to the X protocol. So the X client is the processing part of any application and often runs on a remote machine, whereas the X server is the display and interaction system. So the client server nature of X protocol allows a single server to support many clients or applications or hosts. Even in this image, we can see that a single server is supporting a number of hosts and application clients. Due to this nature of X Windows system, any server, a single server, is able to communicate with many clients and perform many operations simultaneously, which increases the efficiency to many folds. So now let's have a look on the client server design architecture. So there are some common terms which we have used, and there are some common important things which are performed by all these terms. So we'll be discussing it in detail, moving from the X server. So it runs locally and accepts all the X clients. It displays the requests and errors and even creates and destroys new windows. The server is also capable of handling the keyboard or the mouse operations. Moving to the X client, it is an application which is written using the X libraries. Sending request, its work is to send requests and receive the events and errors. So both the client and server are connected using the X protocol. The X protocol involves some important elements, and these elements are requests, replies, events, and errors. So in general words, requests is when a client would send a request to the server, like for example, creating a new window. And in response to that request, the server would send a reply to that client. Uh, After the reply has been sent, event is when the server forwards the event such as the package towards the client, and the errors are when the servers report any errors to the client if there are any. So moving ahead to the desktop manager. So the basic role of this desktop manager is to provide you with the ability to manage all the details on your system that would otherwise require you to type a bunch of commands in the terminal window. We have seen that in the older version of operating systems, there was a command line and all the applications or all the features could be accessed by typing a bunch of commands. Whereas when you have a desktop manager, everything could be done just by clicking. So Genome and KDE are some examples of the desktop manager. Both of them look quite similar to the Windows, and they have like an equivalent start menu, the same Windows Explorer, and the same sort of control panel. But again, the main um, ability of a desktop manager is to eliminate the time which was required, which was taken by to write all the commands in the command prompt to perform any sort of operation. So moving forward towards the Windows Manager. So the Windows Manager is a program that manages the placement of windows on your system. The Windows Manager makes it possible to move or resize and minimize the various programs running in the computer. So the KDE handles this functionality as well, whereas the Genome does not directly provide this functionality, but rather it relies on an independent window manager to do it for us. Mm, for example, most all for example all the window managers can close or minimize or resize, but while talking about the Linux trends, there are some decoration and customization which windows under Linux which doing under Linux is much more flexible. So many window managers also provide other functionalities such as shading or providing sticky notes or window history and desktop and workspace manipulations. So that was all for the Windows Manager part, and concluding the my presentation. So Windows X system was an early form of Windows used for the Linux operating systems, which has been a foundation in creating the graphical user interfaces. It is quite similar to the Microsoft Windows, but it is much more flexible when it comes to design and decorations. So it is quite efficient form of a system, and provides a lot of benefits while using under the Linux operating systems. So that would be all from my side. Thank you for attending this presentation. Again, I'm Mangeet Singh Sarao, and this was the final for my CIS 340 course. Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.